Hello and welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Nerdarchy Dave, and today I am joined by Adam Bradford from Demiplane. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing great. Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. It's been like forever since we've had you on, and we've gotten a chance to kind of talk. So, for anyone who might not be familiar with you and what you do, if you could give them the elevator pitch, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, the elevator pitch. Yeah. So I am Adam Bradford. I am the Chief Development Officer at Demiplane. And formerly, oh, hold on. I think I hear us somewhere. Let me,
You do.
there we go. There we go. So yeah, Chief Development Officer at Demiplane. Formerly, I was with Curse and then Twitch and then Fandom on D&D Beyond. We're co-founded D&D Beyond, and at Demiplane joined I think last February. So yeah, not even a year yet with Demiplane, but we are working on some very exciting stuff at Demiplane, including the recently announced Pathfinder Nexus, which is the official digital tool set for Pathfinder. And then this week we announced that coming next year, also there will be a World of Darkness Nexus. So the official digital tool set for Vampire, Werewolf. They just announced Hunter: The Reckoning. So yeah, lots of exciting things going on. But ultimately, for the most part, the last several years in this industry, I have been, really, really concerned with trying to bring digital support and merge technology with these great games that we play here at the table, and try to find the best ways to do that. Where at the end of the day, we can get more people playing these games, because, not to sound too lofty here at the end of the elevator pitch, but I genuinely believe that the world will be a better place if everybody played tabletop role-playing games. And so yeah, we're trying to march toward that mission and goal, and see if we can get 100% of the world to play these games. Might not get there, but we're going to try.
I can't disagree with that sentiment. Everyone should play RPGs, and I feel like it does help make us better play people and connect us closer. As always, folks, links are in the description, so click away and go check out Demiplane and what's new from Nexus. Um, yeah, I mean, so you've kind of like you're starting to really like innovate that space, and I've worked with some other tools that are pretty decent, but the ones that you've worked on have been by far the best.
Well, I mean, don't make me blush or anything, Dave. But yeah, it really comes down to, I think that at the end of the day, when we are thinking about the tabletop role playing industry, there's been just this massive amount of growth in the last 5 years or so, and so much of it is not necessarily based on the efforts of a Wizards of the Coast or any other publisher out there. It's a zeitgeist thing. I mean, we had Stranger Things happen, and I was involved at the early stages of that. Wizards of the Coast did not know the Duffer Brothers were including D&D and Stranger Things, but it happened, and it was this glorious windfall of attention and just focus that people were starting to put on this hobby that we love. And then you have people like Stephen Colbert come out and say that they play D&D and they love this game. So it's just this thing that is becoming more mainstream. But as that is starting to happen, you also notice that many of the support peripherals and the things that are going into the game aren't at a level of maturity that would match some of those other industries out there, like the video gaming industry or the film and television industry. All of those have really, really been mature industries for a long time. And so I think that the tabletop role-playing industry is just really growing at this rapid pace that no one expected. And it's kind of outsizing the level of company support that's going on out there. And so I think that when it comes to digital tools, we have had this great thing, and I was one of them. I mean, 2 decades ago, I'm putting together access databases with Visual Basic code to try to figure out how to make gameplay go smoother. And I even looked the other day to see if I could find some of that old stuff just to reminisce a bit, and I couldn't find it. But I've been trying to do those kinds of things to help support gameplay, enhance the experience around the table for literally decades. And now we're at a point where we have companies who have real investment, who have really really talented staff that are coming together and starting to put together some really really special things. And as a fan of these games, I am thrilled to see that, because it's like the better support that we get, the more focus and attention we get on this, the bigger that this can grow, and eventually that mission of getting people to play these games can really start to happen.
Yeah, I feel like, as the industry kind of evolved alongside society, society has become less and less social, even though we've become more and more connected. But I feel like games like tabletop RPGs bring people together and kind of forces them back into those social gatherings and situations that I think, as humans we just crave. So I think that's
Completely
part of
agree.
the
Yeah,
reemergence, right? Finding
it
something we
is. Well,
lost.
when I can watch my 12-year-old play some kind of, we'll say Fortnite. I don't know if he's playing that right now, but when he's out there playing a video game and something challenging happens, something bad happens, there is a completely different reaction that he has than when he's around the table playing D&D or Pathfinder or any of these other great games out there, and a challenge or a problem happens at that table. It's just
Yeah.
a night and day difference in the human response that happens for that. And so this is where I think that, again, yeah, these games connect us. And I think most importantly, it is about story. Human beings are incredibly driven by story. Whether we realize this or not, there's this just primal connection to narrative and what that means, and we internalize that on a daily basis. And so these games really are almost like an X-Men danger room, so
Yeah.
to speak, of the ability to go in and just play around with the boundaries of story and connect with that in these entirely new ways. And so I think it just allows us to stretch muscles and flex muscles that we're kind of just wired to care about as people. And so any kind of game that allows you to explore who you are as a person, that's the kind of game that I want to be playing.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up like your son playing Fortnite or whatever, because those responses, if you're doing it with other people, tend to be, especially if you're doing it with strangers, tend to be kind of dispassionate and kind of punitive. Where playing a game like D&D or Pathfinder or any of the tabletop RPGs, like you said, you start to empathize with the other player and the characters in the story as well. And I think that's like that's the human experience that's kind of like coming back.
Yeah, I love that word punitive that you use there, because it is, when we think about, I mean, even, and again, I'll continue to use my sons as an example here, because that, it's a pretty easy one for me to see on a daily basis. But it's just thinking about the reactions that we sometimes have when we, get takeout and the order's not right,
Yeah.
like what, again, just thinking about like any kind of problem that we're gonna, or an inconvenience that we're gonna encounter in our daily life. And just to think about often what our responses are to that. I have personally seen that playing a tabletop role-playing game, as silly as it sounds, I have seen those kind of situations come up, and where my kids can even relate that to those kind of moments where we run into those inconveniences and inconsistencies. And it just equips us to be able to deal with those issues in a way that is more graceful than maybe we otherwise would. And so yeah, role playing is such a powerful force in our world. And I wasn't there clearly, but it would not surprise me if people sitting around the campfires in early days of human history didn't explore some of these kind of things through a role playing lens and a make believe lens. And so yeah, I think this structured make believe that we have going on in this space, and that a lot of times I have to think about as an industry because it is my job. And so sure, I'm going to do my job. We're going to make waves in this industry, but at the end of the day, it is just structured make believe. And I'm just genuinely blessed that that gets to be a job that I also get to be exposed to so much of these games.
Changing gears a little bit, are you will Demiplane have a presence at PAX Unplugged?
Unfortunately, and I am genuinely saying unfortunately, not this year. And that is all, almost all because of just scheduling conflicts, that we're a pretty small company, that kind of the leadership has there.
Yeah.
I don't think there is any scenario in the world that we will not be back at PAX Unplugged next year, because that has emerged as one of my favorite shows of the year. And so, yeah, we are definitely planning. The hope is in 2022 that human society can get our act together and get this pandemic stuff under control, and we can return to some normalcy when it comes to that. But yes, Demiplane will have a strong presence at many of the shows next year. And we went to a couple this year, but PAX Unplugged unfortunately fell off our list. And like I said, it is paining me to say that almost, because I love PAX Unplugged. Won't be able to make it this year, but we'll definitely be there next.
It's a good show.
It is.
You might want to have your one founder sit that one out. I
Yeah.
mean, it might be a little,
you're talking about Travis Frederick?
it might be a little rough for him. I mean,
The former star Pro Bowl center for the Dallas Cowboys?
yeah, like they attacked Santa Claus and they murdered the hitchhiking robot. So
yeah. Yeah, that is very, very true. He can try to go incognito, which is kind of hard because he's a giant of a man. But but yeah, we'll see what we can do. We'll get him. He already has a big beard and mustache, so we're gonna have to get him some big goofy glasses. Give him a fedora. Whatever we can do to let him go into the show incognito.
Yeah, I think in the show he'll be fine. Most of those people won't even know
that is true.
What a football is. So
yeah, I can't walk the streets of Philly though.
It's once you leave this convention center.
Yeah, I hear these Philly fans, really care and let their opinions be known about their sports. So
they can be a little passionate at times.
As an NBA fan, I am very aware of everything going on with the 76ers right now. And yeah, Philly, they definitely let their voices be heard. So go Philly.
Well, it's unfortunate. You'll definitely be missed for that. That's the one we've always been able to hit, just because it's like in our backyard.
Yeah, absolutely. That always makes things so much better. And, I think that we did recently go to Gamehole Con. Gamehole Con's incredible. Alex Kammer runs that show, and it is one of my favorite shows of the entire year. And it is in Madison, Wisconsin. And so Demiplane's offices actually are in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And so I live in Huntsville, Alabama still. So we are remote and distributed as a company, but I do make it up to the offices there at Green Bay, every once in a while. And I love going up there though, because it is in a place called Titletown that is literally attached to Lambeau. So where the Green Bay Packers play. And so it's just such a fun, interesting area to go up to. But Gamehole Con feels almost like a local show because we have our offices there in Wisconsin, and it's a great one too. So yeah, I can't wait for next year. And again, I hope that everything continues to trend in the right way, and we can really return to kind of a full schedule of all of those events.
Yeah, it should be a lot better. I mean, by then they should have those pills they're talking about.
Yeah.
Which will reduce, a lot of the stress and anxiety.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Around it. Yeah. Yeah. Also, it'll be good when you get back to Philly, because I might be a little biased, but I happen to think Philly is the best con for food.
Oh man, yeah, the food is incredible there. And I mean, the steaks are just, I can't, Yes, I'm gonna miss them badly. I guess I could talk about that for a long time, but yes, I'm gonna miss them badly, and I do. I love the city. I love typically I am there in the winter because even I visited a few times for personal reasons. It's been when it's a little cooler out, and so yeah, it's like I'm a Rocky Balboa fan, and so
Yeah.
yeah, I love
Did you find
going
any
up there.
good wing places?
I haven't found any that have just completely blown me away up
Yeah.
there, but that's also not asking a local, what they really think about it. And I always find that is the best thing is to find somebody that lives there to tell you exactly where it is. So most of the time when I'm up there, I'm not focused on the wings as much as again the cheesesteak and everything else there. But yeah, if you can find a place, then the next time I'm up, we will definitely hit the wings.
Yeah, we recently went into the city for our anniversary and my wife's birthday to celebrate, and we went to this restaurant. It's called Marrakesh, and it's Moroccan food, and it's like
Okay.
it's cash only,
Yeah.
but it's like $25, and it's like a 7 course meal, and it's like there's no
Whoa.
menu. You just get what they bring you,
Yeah.
and it is fantastic.
Okay. Yeah. That's high praise. I like
Yeah,
it. I'll have to give it a try.
and that's what like that's the and it's weird when like the first time we went to this restaurant of friends of ours had suggested it, and it's like it's off of a street that you could mistake for an alleyway, and then it's off of an alley from that from that street. So and you have to like knock on the door when you go
Feel
there or
like it's
ring the bell.
exclusive. I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it kind of feels like something from like an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah.
And when we
That's
had
good stuff.
just recently went, they converted that alleyway kind of into their dining area for COVID.
Yeah. For the
It was
outdoor dining. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, which you could tell that the neighbors really loved as they came out of their houses and they just had this look of utter disgust on their
Yeah.
face.
I was blown away. I recently went to New York City. It was the first time my kids had been there, and a quick vacation that we took just a few weeks ago, and that's the first time. So I had been in New York City. I want to say it was the February before the March when quarantine kind of started for COVID. And so I've been to New York City several times, but I haven't been since a lot of the lockdown was happening, and so that was my first time back. And the noticeable difference was that all of those restaurants had built these little, almost like shack like
Yeah,
outdoor seating areas or whatever. And it was a little bit jarring because I'm so used to the city, the other times that I've gone. And then I came in and I was like, wait, like it feels more crowded because we've had to build all these outdoor seating areas or whatever. But yeah, it was just one of those things to think about, how much of an impact this pandemic has had on society. It's just that seems like a really, really minor thing, but it still was like, man, the entire visual eye line of the city has changed because of everything that's going on here.
yeah. I mean, everything is gonna be different, but I mean, and also like for like the things that you do, it's brought a lot of people. I feel like it's brought a lot of people to the hobby, and then brought a bunch of people not to the hobby, but to connect with other people in ways that they never would have considered before, and they maybe were vehemently against.
I.e. online. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is absolutely true. And in my past life, I got to see as that was all starting, it was a dramatic increase and dramatic growth in the use of digital tools. I mean, we're talking, when you're looking at the charts, and then it's like a spike, but then
yeah,
we did not see any. We saw it level off, but we did not see it remotely drop down to what it was before. And so with Demiplane, one of the things that excited me most, and because it was as I started understanding that my season was coming to its end in the former gig, I was I was really looking around and like, hey, what's next, and what kind of challenges do I want to tackle, and where do I want to go from here? And Demiplane was so appealing, because the platform has started out with this focus again on connecting gamers to be able to play games. And that started out with matchmaking and getting people together, in a looking for group capacity, but then also getting them together into this shared play space where people can connect with video. So, everybody started turning to Zoom or maybe Discord or, these other video conferencing tools when the pandemic hit, to kind of try to simulate and replace that in-person experience. And at the end of the day, Zoom and Discord are really, really great platforms. I mean, we're on Zoom right now. It's a great platform. I wish I had invested in Zoom before, but basically these great platforms that are not built for tabletop RPGs. And that's fine. Obviously, they have other concerns and their companies are doing great. But with Demiplane, we asked the question of, what if we made something like what Zoom is doing, but really, really made it purpose built for tabletop role playing games? And so I loved what Demiplane was, the path that Demiplane had started down, because again, very new, young company. But then, thinking about how it makes so much sense to layer digital tools on top of that, because one of the things that we always ran into in my former gig was this idea that, like, hey, we're going to make some new feature, some new tool, but then the question always came up of, where are we going to put that? Like, what are we going to anchor that in? And so I really love the starting place where we're coming at this at Demiplane, that it's like, look, let's connect people, let's help connect people. If you already have your group, then that is great. I have talked with so many people over the last 5 years about that they want to play these games so badly, but they just can't find a group. And so at Demiplane, we're trying to help with that. We love seeing the results of that and see how people are finding each other through all that matchmaking. But then once you have that group, you can come together, you can get together on video, voice, whatever. You can take notes and share them with each other. So, one of the things that always happens when I'm on a streamed game and I'm using Zoom, people are, putting notes into, and then those are gone. Like, it's like once you leave the Zoom call, it's gone. So it's like, Demiplane gives you a place where all of that can happen in one place. And then as we are starting to bring on these Nexus tool sets, you're going to be able to play some of your favorite games and have character sheets and have access to the books right there integrated into that play space. And so yeah, really, really excited. And then, another thing with Demiplane, we get this question all the time. And I bet you have this on your list, so I'm going to preempt it. We are not necessarily looking at doing anything with a VTT, because one of the reasons is the VTT space is very, very crowded. There's a new virtual tabletop popping up, almost every week. You see something on Reddit, and some of the VTTs out there are doing some really great work. With Demiplane, you can kind of pull a VTT into that through screen sharing, whatever you would do through Zoom as well there. But for us, this pandemic has really shown in so many ways, because before the pandemic and people could come and be together, face to face at their tables more, people that were playing online, it skewed very heavily towards, hey, we're playing with a virtual tabletop, because that was the way that people played online. But once this has happened, we've also seen that, theater of the mind and not having the grid or the maps or the tokens has become an immensely popular way to play online. And again, for that, all you need is that video experience. And so, you can pull in VTT things with Demiplane, but we also have so many groups that are continuing that trend where they're coming together. And, some people call it, a map light experience, where it's like you're not just doing like, hey, here's 5 feet of movement, on each grid, but I'm sharing my screen and here's the map, and then it's almost like a hybrid between theater of the mind and that gridded combat.
Have you seen Game Board?
Yeah, I have actually. Yeah.
Any thoughts for some integration there?
Well, I I will never say never to anything. And so, we are talking with a lot of different potential partners out there, and looking into, in any place that we can add value, and again, just try to make the game better. And when I say game, they're talking capital G, almost, like the Catholic Church maybe, but it's like the game out there
Yeah.
better. We are going to we're going to be looking for those opportunities. So I really like what Game Board is doing. I've been able to play with their tech when I was at Gen Con. I did some interview stuff with them, and was getting to do the pinching and zooming and moving the physical. I think that it is going to be important as we go forward with anything that anyone is doing with digital, for us to continue to do the best that we can to find touch points between the physical and the digital, because these games, the physical is not going away with these games, and that's not what we are trying to do with what we're doing with all the digital support that we're bringing to all these great games. It's not about eliminating the physical. It's not even necessarily, we're not just trying to replace those wonderful, beautiful tomes that everybody likes to thumb through, while they're sitting on the couch. That's not the purpose of what we're doing, because you can see on the shelf behind me, you've got a nice spread behind you there too. Dave, love to see it, but we're collectors. Like, I understand the value of, these physical things. And so tabletop role-playing games have this history of having all those physical things. And I think the trick for successful digital support and integration is figuring out the ways that digital can enhance and accentuate the experience, rather than necessarily replacing. Sometimes it can replace, if that's what your group prefers, but it's not intended that it has to sweep through and remove all those physical components that we've come to love over all these years.
What games are you playing nowadays?
Oh man. I will start because I actually don't play many video games now, but I do want to throw out, like, I have just started what I think is a super interesting game called Outer Wilds. I highly recommend this because it is this like exploration game, and it gives me the feel of a tabletop role-playing game in video game form. Really, really interesting game. Highly recommend that. I haven't finished it yet, but I still would highly recommend it, because I've had a lot of fun, even just dipping my toes into it. I play a little bit of Guild Wars 2 on the video game side. I love the way that combat works in that game. Outside of that, tabletop role playing, I am playing in our streamed game Heroes of the Plains on Tuesday nights. That is a D&D 5th edition game. We have gotten to 20th level recently, and so that is obviously a massive milestone. Our characters are literally godlike at this stage, and so we don't get the chance to play in those high levels very frequently, or at least I haven't over the 30 years I've been playing. And so that's been a pretty special experience. And then I'm also playing a kind of family oriented. I'm really again just very blessed with sons that like to play. I've got sisters, brother-in-law that like to play. So we're playing some Pathfinder there now. And again, we had a World of Darkness Nexus announcement this week. I've done some streamed World of Darkness stuff fairly recently. I am looking for that group that's going to play some vampire or possibly even hunter when that comes out. So love those games. I also I'm not actively playing in a game right now, but I love a lot of what Free League is doing with their games. And so Free League has some great games out there. And so I've played some Alien fairly recently, and Forbidden Lands is a really, really fun game too. And so for me, I think, as far as ongoing campaigns go, it's the streamed D&D that I do on Tuesday nights, and that family Pathfinder game, but I end up playing a lot of one or three shots in a lot of those other kind of games out there, because I just love variety, and I love digging into these other games. I think that really is the spice of finding that variety in these games, and there's so much that you can learn from the different game systems that can even improve the other games that you more regularly play.
Yeah, I think we're about to wrap up my Monster of the Week campaign, and then we're probably going to be playing some Shadow of the Demon Lord.
Oh,
And
yes. It's been a while since I've played that, but I was just blown away. Like, some of the spell names in that in that game
it,
are incredible.
it's going to be brand new for me. I have not tried that yet. And then we're about to wrap up our Tuesday night games on. We have a few more sessions on this channel that we play, which is a 5e game. But I think we're going to be. It looks like we're moving into a Cipher System Supers game.
Yeah.
And we might
So
go like full tick style on it as well.
I want you to tell me, what your thoughts are about that experience, because this is,
Marvel phase rip, right?
yes,
I
I
still find
adore
it hard for other games to compete with that. Like
It really does. I agree.
the play of that is really good. Although there's other games that are much better at like developing heroes.
Yeah,
Like
I love what that original Marvel game, and then I really loved, and this is one of those strange things, because when I try my best to objectively think about which Teen Wolf movie is better between the first and second, with Michael J. Fox and Jason Bateman, I like Teen Wolf 2 better, but I, intellectually and objectively understand the first movie is better than the second. But for whatever reason, when I caught it as a child, I saw the second one first. And so it's like I liked it because it was the first one I saw for some reason. And
yeah.
so for me, Phase Rip is objectively better. But I also liked the Marvel Saga edition, because it was the first superhero role-playing game I had ever played. And so that was the one that was taking the riff off the Dragonlance Saga version that
Yeah.
had cards. So it had like cards with it. You didn't roll dice, you used cards instead. But I adored that game. And it just, again, from a nostalgic lens, it's probably what I would say is my favorite, but I definitely would not say that it was the best. But yeah, I'm still looking for that superhero role playing game that is going to really really scratch the itch, to the point of one of these days, I'm still reasonably young, one of these days, if I don't find it, I may just go try to make one, like genuinely,
Yeah.
because that's how important it is to me.
We're
and
also going
and
to get
so
the D616 system soon.
yes, we are. Yeah,
So I've only
absolutely.
played
Yeah.
the one Marvel game, right? So I can't compare them. Like I vaguely know what they are.
Right.
Um,
Well, you're not missing much with many after Saga. Like, so,
yeah, yeah,
there hasn't been now Cortex Marvel Heroic role playing was pretty solid. It was obviously a very different kind of game, but it was very solid. But yeah, I'm very interested to see what Marvel's going to do with this newest iteration in this play test that's going to start next year too.
yeah. Heroes Unlimited actually pushed me to find Mutants and Masterminds because I was just so dissatisfied with that system. And
Yep.
then to the point where I was like, I think I would rather play Marvel Phase Rip. I know some people really love that game, but I'd
Yeah.
rather play Marvel Phase Rip than Heroes Unlimited. So I started searching online, and M&M and Champions kept coming up. And
Yeah.
M&M was a D20 game. My group was a D20 group essentially.
Sure.
So I was like,
A
this
lot
is
easier to
easy.
switch over. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you played the third edition of Mutants and Masterminds?
I have. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
by far
definitely.
the
And
best
again,
edition.
lots and lots to love about it. There's just something, and when I think about these things too, it is in the context of the full total experience. And so it's not even necessarily what the game system itself is doing, possibly as much as like what the setting material is going in with that,
Yeah.
also how the players around me feel about it. And so I think that with Mutants and Masterminds, I really didn't have issues with the game. Like I thought it played great, but a lot of the players in my group were not fans. And so if we can't get together to play because people aren't motivated to do so, then that's going to fall apart for me
Yeah,
too. So
I also had at least one player like that, like because of the damage system is less satisfying
yeah.
than some other games. The creation system is like
Oh
one
yeah.
of the best.
I spent many hours in that. So yeah.
And then I really like in third edition that Steve Kenson, you could see that he tried like getting those throwbacks to the Marvel phase rip system in there. I got a
Yep.
couple questions I want to grab real quick.
All right. Yeah. Let's do it.
Dave Rosser, is Nexus going to support third party content? Also wants to know if your mounted beholder is still on the wall.
Okay, so we'll take the first one. What we can say for Pathfinder Nexus, World of Darkness Nexus, we certainly have the goal to support third party content. As you can imagine, we've got to work with our licensors in both of those situations, but we Demiplane wants to do that and is targeting to do that, but we can't confirm any of those details yet. It's just too early on both of those nexes, I guess is the plural of that. So it's it's too early to confirm any details there, but I can tell you that the intent would be that we want to do it, and yeah, we'll cross our fingers and hope that that can be the case. And then
Are you having deja vu?
yeah, no. This is it is funny, like how things change and how they stay the same though. Like
Yeah.
I will say that, but yeah, as far as the mounted beholder, so I actually don't have the mounted beholder. I think they may be talking about what was in the D&D Beyond offices, and as far as I am aware, that beholder is still proudly suspended in the air up there. It's not technically mounted any longer, but it's suspended in the air, floating, looking over people in those offices still.
Yeah. I mean, some people take the stapler when they go.
Yeah,
I could definitely see taking the
I didn't say,
beholder.
no, I didn't say that. I didn't take anything that wasn't mine. But I will say, I had a very decorated office of my own stuff, and so it was kind of fun to be able to take some of that really cool stuff that I had. It's almost like I had it fragmented in two different places, right? And then now I have all the fun stuff together in one place here with me. So I do like that.
So Manuel wants to know, is Starfinder on the roadmap?
So we have the license for Starfinder, so we can make a Starfinder Nexus, and right now the answer to that is we are focused on bringing Pathfinder Nexus to life. But I can say that again, at least at the intent level, is we would love to do a Starfinder Nexus at the level of detail, that part of the perspective. We have nothing that we can confirm. Like we definitely don't know, when we're going to get to that, or we have none of the answers for any of those questions. But I can tell you that the Demiplane team, we would love to do a Starfinder Nexus, and as long as we continue to see demand for it out there, we've definitely seen some demand, because I've answered this question the same way every time it's come up, and I say, hey, if you want a Starfinder Nexus, continue to let us know about that, because that will matter when it comes down to making decisions on priority and all of those things. But I can tell you that we want to do it, and we are able to do it. We just haven't, figured out when that might fit into the pipeline and the roadmap at this stage.
So how's the process been this time around? Because when you did D&D Beyond, you had to start from scratch. Is it much smoother now?
Well, I mean, we definitely still have to start from scratch. But yeah, I mean, you know, I've gotten this question a few times, and I think I've answered it for the most part with an analogy, and I think that this will make a good bit of sense to folks out there, because this is the feeling that we have here. Is yeah, learn some things. Definitely learn some things. There's no way that hasn't happened, and that has really really benefited us. But EverQuest was an incredible game, literally groundbreaking. There are arguments that there were some before EverQuest, but EverQuest really put MMOs on the map. And then World of Warcraft came along, and World of Warcraft was able to see what went well for EverQuest, what didn't go as well. And it became again, like, from a numbers perspective, one of, if not the most successful video game of all time. And I'm not necessarily saying that, like, oh, what Demiplane's doing is gonna do what World of Warcraft did, but I am saying that you could see in the design of that game, you could see in how they structured things, how it was presented to fans out there, all of those kind of things. When you are able to build on from the standpoint of the mind share, when you're able to see what other successful digital tools have done out there, but then also understand maybe some places where they got blindsided, or they didn't see around the corners, and those kinds of things. Having that kind of knowledge is definitely a big boon. And on a personal level, that is really exciting for me, because it's like you get to a certain point with something you made before. I'm a painter, so I paint art, and I don't get to do as much of it these days as I used to. But ultimately, with art, when I go back and look at a painting that I did 15 years ago, there's a part of me that is like, what was I thinking? Like, what
Yeah,
man, that is not
it's
good. Yeah,
it's not often we get to use hindsight going forward,
exactly.
and you kind of get that. But there's another side of it too. Like, you came on basically to a company, to a startup, compared to also, like, the environment you worked in was much different. It was huge corporations to start with.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I'll say on that is, I think that when I joined Curse, so that was two acquisitions prior, but when
Yeah.
I joined Curse, I will say that Curse was 40 50 employees, but still very much fit that startup vein. And then naturally, as a company grows, as it's acquired by Twitch and Amazon, and then later acquired by Fandom, there is a difference in the size and scope and scale, and just the way that corporatization works. And so yeah, I will definitely say that you know as things progressed with the former gig, getting towards the end of that, the kinds of challenges that I was facing were not the kinds of challenges that I enjoyed most. And so, what I do love about what is going on at Demiplane is, these are the challenges of making things and making things happen, and those are the kind of things that I love to do. And so it's been just such a wonderful time for me. Like, since February, I get the question all the time: do you regret leaving the other thing? Do you like what you're doing now? And it is a resounding, no. I have no regrets whatsoever, and I'm having the time of my life. And this has been just incredibly fulfilling. And the exciting thing for me is, we haven't really made anything yet, right? Like, this is we're still waiting for the shoe to fall. And so I can't wait until we get into next year, and we start getting some of the stuff that we've been conceptualizing and working on for several months, as we start to get that out into fans' hands. That is incredibly exciting and incredibly fulfilling for me.
What is the Demiplane user base like now?
Um, are you asking qualitatively or quantitatively there?
Quantitatively,
Yeah,
quantitatively.
yeah. So
I won't ask you to rate them as human beings.
yeah, it's like I think they're wonderful, wonderful people. Yeah, so I would say that we haven't released any of those numbers yet. And you know, I didn't do this at D&D Beyond either, so we didn't really you know, release those numbers publicly. And so I'm not going to do that now, but I would say that, you know, we are in a starting position. We are seeing more users than we anticipated at this stage, which is a really good thing for us. But we also understand that that the big growth in users is going to come when we actually deliver the product. Because, you know, at this point in time, we have made you know, 2 announcements, and we have some early access going on for Pathfinder Nexus, but that is about as iceberg tip as you could imagine that being.
Yeah.
It really is just a digital reader that you know, that part is not even finished and polished yet. And so so I think that you know, what we are really looking forward to, and what we think is going to be the real litmus test is you know, next year as we get into that full product launch, we're going to you know, be able to see you know, how many kids we can bring to the yard. But I can say that, you know, we are in a really good spot, and we're in a place that we're very pleased with, and we're very pleased with the reaction to these announcements, because I did live through an announcement with you know, D&D Beyond. And let's just say that the tabletop role playing community, I think, has come a long way since the early days of that other announcement.
Yeah.
Because yeah, you know, there's been just so much positivity. And I think that when you have something that people can, you know, intrinsically understand what we're going to be trying to do with Pathfinder Nexus, World of Darkness Nexus, you know, there may be other announcements coming before too long of other kinds of digital support. And so, you know, as we're doing that, and as we share that news, people can understand, you know, at least at a high level, what we're shooting for and what we're aiming for. And then now we just have to go execute and make it happen. And I love being in that position because you know, making those things happen, as I said before, that's what I live for.
I imagine the first time around making those announcements felt akin to entering a tough man competition where you're just waiting for the next contender, you know, to show
Yeah,
up after every comment everywhere.
yeah, it was it definitely happens. And of course, I am, you know, very active out there with in all of those places, and I do not shy away from discussion. You know, I even wade into the cesspool that is Reddit. And
Sorry.
you know, it's you know, sometimes it's like, you know, punching the ocean, but I still I have no issues whatsoever, you know, jumping into the ocean and punching away. So, because, you know, at the end of the day, the thing that we want to demonstrate, because it really is just the truth, we want to demonstrate that, you know, we are a team of fans of these games, and we are very passionate about what we're doing. We're not going to get everything right. Like, you know, we're not going to we're definitely not going to get everything finished and done by, you know, the timelines that everyone expects out there, you know, because again, you know, I don't know if anything happens like the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, you know, finally hit this last week, and people have been griping that it should have came out, you know, 6 months ago for 6 months. And so it's like, you know, this is just our internet lives these days. But the thing that, you know, the reason that I will join those discussions and not shy away from them is we really do want people to know that we care about this stuff and that we are passionate about it. And I personally can't wait to run a Vampire the Masquerade game using the tools that we're making. So, you know, we're making this for ourselves, and because, you know, we are the target audience too. And that's the thing that, you know, I think that once people start to understand it, and we have to earn that trust, and that's perfectly fine. We sign up for that, and we're willing to do that. But we got to earn that trust over time. And like I said, this time around with announcements has been, you know, much different, and we are very pleased with you know, the positive response to it.
That's kind of how we met, because like our very first live chat, we were talking about D&D Beyond. I don't know if it was just after it launched or if it was the talks of it. And we were just curious about it, and kind of like discussing what we thought it might be. And you were actually in the chat answering questions, and we're like, "Who's this Adam
Mm,
Bradford guy?"
yeah.
And which was super cool, because I had just gone full time doing this, and I'm like, I'm home all the time. I should probably do something. What do you
Yeah.
guys? You
Yeah.
guys want to talk about this thing? And so that was kind of like the beginning of our relationship, and ever
Yeah.
since then, you've been very forward facing with these projects you've been on.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do. I genuinely love the community, and like I said, it always sounds a little bit cheesy when I say this, but I don't mean it that way. When you think about it in terms of, I really do want as many people in the universe to play these games as possible. I I really do think that that is part of my role on this planet is to try to help facilitate that. And so when you keep the main things, then yeah, like somebody being mean to me on the internet, or somebody being misinformed on the internet, or any of those things, they really are small in comparison to being able to take steps down that journey and that path of making that mission come complete. And again, there is just so much positivity out there, and that is felt in ways that it's hard to explain how much that means to us as well. And so yeah, it's I love the community, and I think that building it is a very, very worthwhile thing.
So Dave has a couple questions. Was
Okay.
there a jump in users after the Nexus announcement, and how do folks volunteer to help test early access to alphas and betas?
Yeah, so definitely jump in users for sure for both the announcements. And the truth is, like, that's going to virtually always be the case. And if that isn't happening, then we have problems,
Yeah.
because it probably means that hey, there's not enough demand for this or that game, or whatever it is. But yeah, we definitely got a very, very big bump within those communities. Another thing, as Demiplane will support, in our confirmed, game Nexus, platforms right now. We're going it's clear that we're supporting two very different games in Pathfinder and the World of Darkness games. And so, I think that as we continue down the path, there will be different kinds of players who are going to be drawn in based on how much they love the games that we're supporting, right? And so yeah, we do expect to continue to see those jumps in users, and that is part of, again, the engagement piece of this, and making sure that we can run a successful business as well. But yeah, volunteering to help test. So the way that currently works in Pathfinder Nexus, for most of these, as they're going to come online, we're going to have an early access period. And that early access period is going to be a time where we are trying to really get under the hood and tweak things to where we need them. And so for Pathfinder Nexus right now, you can check that out with the free Pathfinder primer content in the digital reader. We're going to be introducing the other phases of early access, so compendium, listings, something we call primers that we'll introduce a little bit later, and then of course character management. So all of these things are going to be coming live in the next few months. And as those things become live, you can test those things out with that free content. But also you can pre-order any of the other book content, and as you pre-order, that's always going to unlock whatever that is within the tool set for the places where that needs to be unlocked. And the core reason for that is pre-orders aren't a focus for us. But one of the things that we always want to make sure is, if you're jumping into early access, any kind of alpha beta, kind of access like that. We never ever want to give people something that then, because of our licensing agreement, we have to take away from them later, right? And so that's the purpose of the pre-order piece, is that we are just being upfront, transparent about, like, hey, because of the way this licensing works, this part is going to have to be paid for. And if you want to go ahead and do that, then you can use that even throughout this early access phase. So that's our approach. And we, plan to do something similar for World of Darkness Nexus. And we would likely do something similar for anything else that we announce in the future.
So, when you were talking about New York, there was something that made me think of something I wanted to throw out there real quick. Have you had a chance to check out the Cauldron?
The Cauldron? No, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, if you go to New York again, the Cauldron is a potion bar, and they've got like board games and stuff on the shelves, but it's a fantasy themed restaurant where you can I don't know if you buy or rent the wands, and they activate different things in the bar, and they have food as well. But also, the tap is a big tree in the center of the bar.
Wow!
Where you basically, it's self-serve, activated by your wand.
I am so upset that I did not know about this before. So like, Dave, do you not follow me on Twitter, or did the algorithm? Because I was like, hey, anybody that knows of the restaurants that and the places we need to hit that I don't know about, let me know. So the algorithm must not have delivered that to you.
Yeah, I totally missed that, because I had seen something about it, because they were doing like a live D&D event, which the event was okay, but they didn't really have like the best setup for it. But it was a cool idea, and the atmosphere was great for it. And they do they do potion classes where they make all kinds of crazy alcoholic and non-alcoholic potions.
I love it. Yeah, I am going to have to check that out. I will tell you that one of the recommendations that came out for me was a place called Smack in East Village, and basically it might have been the best like restaurant experience that I've ever had, from the standpoint of like just how neat it was that they and what their focus was. But it was mac and cheese, right? Yeah. But you go into this place and you order on a basically they put it out in a cast iron skillet. So they have different sizes of cast iron skillets, and they have this baked macaroni but then you get to choose whatever cheeses you want. You get to choose. So I did a buffalo chicken like mac and cheese thing.
How did I know you were going to go in that direction?
Oh, it was incredible. Coming. This place was incredible. So, and my kids, is one of the best, experiences they've ever had too. So Smack was awesome. But yeah, so the Cauldron, I definitely am going to have to hit that, because the other thing,
it's kind of like a chain bar, but not really, because there's only like 7 in the world.
Wow, that is super cool. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to check that out, because we did also see a Broadway show while we were there, Hadestown, and it was basically a life-changing experience to see an actual Broadway show. And so there is no doubt in my mind that we will be back up there to do that. And so yeah, I will add the Cauldron to the list for sure.
Yeah, there's only so much you can fit in one trip anyway.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. So you said you guys are you play a Tuesday night game. Is there any plan to expand those the live plays?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think we're working on that content strategy now, actually, and so I think that the general response that I can give there is yeah, we will certainly have more streamed content on Demiplane and all the video places. And I think that one of those that I can talk about is we've got a 6-episode first season coming out that is going to be our first Pathfinder live play. And it has an incredible cast, but the show is called The Claw Firm. And so presumably it's going to be, legal oriented or associated, but we have this great cast of players. But the person who is game mastering is Mark Meir, and he
Oh,
is
nice.
just he is one of the best. I adore
He's a
Mark.
really good guy.
Yeah, well, the first time I played with him, so I'd met him several years ago. But the first time I played with him was oh man, the pandemic really stretches time. It might have been a couple of years ago now at this point, but we were playing in a we had a group of streamers who were coming together to play, but it wasn't streamed, so it was kind of like a break game that we could have or whatever without having to be on camera.
Yeah.
And so we had several people together, and we were all playing basically Marvel Avengers characters, but using fifth edition, so trying to approximate the characters in fifth edition. And so we were playing that. I was playing Captain America, but Mark was playing Victor Von Doom, and that was working with the good guys because of reasons, right? And he absolutely blew me away. I know we don't actually know what a Latvian accent sounds like or anything,
Yeah.
but whatever Mark was doing was it.
It was perfect.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was just perfect. And so he is just such a creative person. So I genuinely can't wait to see what he does with this show. And naturally, if we find some success there, I imagine there will be other seasons of that. But yeah, we absolutely will be having content kind of echo whatever we're doing on the digital tool set side of this too. So I'm excited to see where all that goes as well.
Yeah, we got to meet Mark at D&D in the castle. He was at our dinner table for one of the one of the like formal dinners they had.
Yeah.
And like Doug was like totally geeking and nerding out because he's a big fan of the the video game series.
Yes.
And me and Ted are kind of like, who's that? And then
Yeah.
Ted was excited because he learned like that he did all the voices from like Baldur's Gate and those old
Yes.
school video games.
Yeah.
And then Ted got to play in a game with him at Gen Con in Satine's room. I think I had some stuff going on, and Satine was like, "Hey, do you want to jump in this game?" And I was like, "I would love to, but I'm busy. Here's a Ted."
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, Ted was lucky because Mark
yeah,
is absolutely great, and yeah, again, I just can't wait to see what he does with it, and so yeah, we've been really fortunate to be able to work with some incredible folks. We have Deborah Ann Wall is running games on Demiplane, and it's going really really well. And unfortunately, there's not really room that people can
yeah.
jump in there because there's only one of her. But yeah, she's
Have you
she's doing an
considered
outstanding
cloning?
job. Yeah. It's like I wish we could figure that out. But yeah, so yeah, really really fortunate to work with some wonderful people out there who are doing some really really cool things in the space, and that certainly is going to continue. We really are, we're small, we're just starting out, but we're here to stay. We are really really invested in carrying out this mission, and I love, because in that former life I was constantly desiring to bring high quality digital support to some of these other great games out there, that I was playing, but it was just never going to be in the cards in that situation. And so to be able to step out and be able to do that now really is a dream come true type material, and I can't wait to see it unfold in the next several months.
Do you guys plan on adding any like a blog or articles to Demiplane?
I think that we don't currently, and when I say currently, I'm talking in the next couple of months. There are no plans to do that, but I do think that we understand that over time that's going to be a place where we end up, and where we land with that. Yeah, I think the main part there, the caveat is we want to make sure that we are able to really really maintain focus on the really important thing here, which is to just make sure that we deliver on the promise of these digital tools. And so as a small company, our focus is on that. But I think we all internally know that's a place where we're going to end up, and so yeah, as we start thinking that through, we'll have more details on that as that time comes.
Nice. We are just past the hour mark. Any final thoughts before we head on out?
Yeah, no, other than, thanks for having me again. It is always a pleasure, Dave. It's been too long since we've, seen each other with this pandemic business. I hate that I'm going to miss Unplugged this year, because I guess I would have been able to see you there, but we'll, hopefully catch each other really soon. And check out Demiplane and what we're doing with Pathfinder Nexus, World of Darkness Nexus. Follow us in all the places. You can find us at Demiplane or at Demiplane RPG, and keep your ears open and your eyes peeled for other fun stuff that's going to come. We have some other announcements on the way as well. So just follow us in all the places and keep up to date. And next year, some of this stuff is really going to start hitting, and we're really excited about it. And we're excited to be able to bring this kind of support to these great games.
I am also excited to see where things go. Thanks a lot for coming on. As always, folks, down in the description, you can find those links. Go check them out. And until next time, stay nerdy.